Mire, Monac, Monac, Monac. 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 Mire, Monac, 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 Monac.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be a very special live stream, a special episode, because something was on my heart. You know, I watch award seasons come and go, and no one's ever happy. Like, truly, we always end up with it, whether it's a whole group of people or just a bunch of individual fans of a movie or actor, everyone is upset, because the whole thing about awards and why people say they're dumb is because art is subjective. And one of the main things that we want out of awards is to feel like we can celebrate the people who brought us joy throughout the past year, the whole year, with their project. And so what I decided to do is take a special look at the people who I felt like were severely snubbed at the Oscars. You know, there are people that were nominated. Nominations are great. There are people who are going to win. Winning Oscars is even better. But then there were people who didn't even get the shot that I feel like they deserved. And I've heard from some of you, so I know you're going to agree with me on some of these. Some of these you might be like, I never saw that or cared. But I want to bring you the first annual Snubbies. And we're going to be probably doing a lot of these. I can see myself doing them for the Golden Globes, for the Grammys. You know, there's lots of art out there that doesn't get its due. But tonight, we're doing the Snubbies Oscars edition. So I want to start off with Best Adapted Screenplay. There were a lot of movies this year based off of things that already exist that we either adapted from a book or from like a toy or something. You know, like I'm pretty sure Oppenheimer was in there and everything. But this year's Snubby for Best Adapted Screenplay goes to Killers of the Flower Moon. To me, it was one of those movies where everyone that I talked to said that the book was way better than the movie. And if they loved the movie, they're like, the book was amazing. If they thought the movie was okay, they're like, the book was amazing. So I think for source material, the book has a general consensus that it was very, very good. And I feel like to not even be in the conversation feels like a little bit of a mistake. Quickly moving on to Best Original Screenplay. This is one where if you've ever been in LA, you've met a screenwriter. If you've ever been in LA and you've just watched someone at a coffee shop typing furiously, trust me, they're not an engineer. They're not typing away at a message board, contributing to a different conversation. They're making their own conversation in a screenplay that they're writing, and they would very much like you to read it. And I've been one of these people. So this isn't just like full shade. This is something where a lot of people have dreams of seeing their screenplay read, adapted into a movie or a show, winning an award. And there was a particular movie this year that shook me. I don't know if it shook you, but it took me to a dark place that I didn't even know I would want to go. If you had described the movie to me without me watching the movie and just told me a bunch of things like this would happen in front of my eyes before I saw the movie, I'd be like, no, thank you. I think I'm not even going to give it a chance, right? But because I didn't see it coming, I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant. And so this year's Snubby for Best Original Screenplay, something I feel like should have been, should have at least been nominated, was Saltburn. I don't know if you saw Saltburn, but you cannot unsee Saltburn. When Saltburn happens to you, you're burned for life. It's a great movie, though. That's not a thing where I'm saying like, oh, Saltburn is not great. I'm saying it's so great that I still think about it sometimes, and I saw it a long time ago. I also want to check the chat real quick, see how you all feel. Also, for any category that I'm listing, anything that I'm saying, feel free to chime in yourself. If there's a movie that I'm not getting to, if there's something that you feel like, okay, yes, that one and this one, let us know in the chat, because I think there are going to be a lot of people that agree with you. There's also going to be a lot of people probably attacking my taste, and I do get it, okay? Let's see. Saltburn, okay, never heard of that. All right, well, trigger warning. That's why I haven't seen Saltburn. So a lot of people just haven't seen Saltburn. Maybe that's the reason. It didn't get enough traction. A lot of people are talking about Past Lives. Okay. I think it is on Prime now. Yes, you're right. And no spoilers. Yeah, there's no spoiler at play. And please do not spoil these movies in the chat. All right, let's give everybody who hasn't had a chance to watch, because that's the other thing that happens with a lot of these like award show season movies is that a bunch of people haven't watched. So then they're like, why'd that win? They don't know because they don't know. And then they watch the movie maybe a year later on a plane and they're like, it's pretty good. Okay. Moving on to Best Supporting Actress. Now, based on the chat, you probably won't agree with me on this one. There's gonna be a lot of the same sentiment as before, but I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Rosamund Pike did an incredible job in Saltburn. So if you said who and what to Saltburn, you might be saying who and what to the role that I'm talking about. But just another reason to check out Saltburn. Best supporting actor. This is, the guy that I felt like didn't get enough credit for really pushing the movie forward and everything. And once again, the Snubbies are not to disparage anyone who is actually nominated. I actually think we don't give enough credit to this season for being a pretty good collection of movies. It's like, it's kind of hard. There's not much room. There's like 10 things nominated for Best Picture. You can only fit so much, to be fair. But I thought that Best Supporting Actor, I think that Charles Melton should have got shot for May December. He's in there, and I felt, watching May December, I felt as uncomfortable as his life must have been in the movie. Good looking guy in a very weird situation. If you haven't seen May December, when you see it, I think you'll know what I mean. I think you'll watch the movie, and then hopefully at the end of an Academy nominated movie, you might be like, I think Josh was right. That's what I want out of May December for everyone. I want them to think back to this moment and be like, yes, Charles should have got more. Best Actor. Now, Best Actor and Best Actress are some very hard categories to pick, and people do it for different reasons. But to me, Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon was definitely something that should have been in the conversation. I feel like it was a bit of a snub because it's hard for me with some of these movies where they're getting all these other nominations for like Best Picture, Best this, Best that. And then some of the main components that make a Best Picture don't get nominated. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think that you can actually, in my opinion, have like a Best Picture without maybe winning Best Screenplay. But that's just me. And maybe that's just because I'm a writer and I'm very writer focused. But yeah, I thought Leonardo DiCaprio, Killers of the Flower Moon, definitely should have got a little bit more love. Best Actress. Now this one is something that the Snubbies is a place where we do things that are unprecedented. One, having an award show that is less than 6 minutes, because I'm actually almost done with the Snubbies part, and then I'm going to get into the news. We also have ties, because, sometimes I feel like there are performances and there are artists that are so good that you really can't compare and then edge out. You got to give it to them both. So winner of the Snubby for Best Actress this season is Greta Lee for Past Lives and Margot Robbie for Barbie. Now, I haven't even checked the chat yet. I haven't even looked at the chat. And y'all might be eating me alive in there. I'm not a strong man, so I can't take too many attacks, but you might be getting in me in the chat. I'm going to look in a second, but let me explain myself first before I even check, okay? I think that Greta Lee in Past Lives, I think that there's something to be said for taking drama and, certain moments to like a very particular place that gives you a feeling when you're watching the movie that you don't get from other movies. And I feel like Margot Robbie should have got the nomination for Best Actress because if I'm right, America Ferrera got a nomination and Ryan Gosling got a nomination. And this is my thing. To be in the movie Barbie and be Barbie and then have two other people in the movie Barbie and they get nominations, you don't get a nomination. It feels a lot like looking back at the 93 Bulls and being like, man, this Rodman guy is great. This Pippen dude is fantastic. And there's one other guy, can't think of his name. Some would say the GOAT, that he deserves a little something, maybe an MVP, but I can't remember his name right now. That's what it feels like. The movie Barbie with Barbie in it, Barbie doing a good job and just nominating people around Barbie. I mean, Margot Robbie was gracious about it, but I'm petty. I would be very upset. Before I reveal the last two Snubbies, I want to check the chat real quick and see what y'all are thinking, if y'all are even feeling this at all. Once again, be be putting your opinions into the chat. Somebody's saying Ryan Gosling definitely didn't earn that. Okay, I can see that. I can see you being like, this singing is not for me, and him yelling Sublime at that one moment in the movie didn't do it for me. Didn't feel Oscar worthy. All right, I'm not here to argue with what has happened. I'm here to say what I think should have been added. You know, let's see. I love Margot Robbie, even though she always looks like she needs a nap. That is an attack. I don't know if that's true. That doesn't seem true at all. Margot Robbie and Wolf of Wall Street, yes. Not the 93 Bulls. Yes, the 93 Bulls. Don't read the chat. LOL. Barbie is cap. Okay, fair enough. Look, I'm just saying. The movie made $1 billion. Like, I know that commerce and artistry don't always mix, but if something is just fun, can't people be rewarded for that? If you made $1 billion worth of people have fun, I feel like that's okay to reward. I know it's not the high artistry of like a Martin Scorsese movie and the method acting and the what do you call it? The Meisner method and stuff. Maybe all that didn't go into playing one of the Barbie characters, but you still contributed to an entire country having fun in the midst of a fairly bleak year for a lot of people. So I think it's something. You know, Greta Lee, I agree. Thank you. Once again, I think it's a tie. I think they both should have been in there. I'm not just saying, y'all, Margot Robbie was robbed and we need to fix that and overthrow the Academy. I'm also saying Greta Lee is in there killing it. I loved Barbie. Yep, 100%. Margot and Greta deserve to be nominated. Thank you. Thank you, Julie Ruby. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Like someone else said, Ryan stole every scene he was in, but also the song he won for was iconic. The rest was forgettable. All right, I can see that. Well, Barbie got 8 Oscar nominations. Yes, it did. And that was in a weird way kind of my point. It's like, yes, it got all these nominations and you could argue those different things, but I thought Margot Robbie, throw her in there. Greta Lee, throw her in the mix is all I wanted. Okay. So for Best Director, we had some notable and some predictable nominations, right? So Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon is in there. Christopher Nolan is in there for Oppenheimer, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. Once again, the Snubbies has a tie. I think that 2 other names that should have been thrown in there for Best Director were Greta Gerwig for Barbie. Once again, it was fun. I understand if you even hated the movie, but it was like a fun thing. I went to see it, and I'm not even saying that every scene was for me, but it was fun. And I did have to wait 4 hours for my flight anyway. So then going to Barbie killed the time that I would have been just sitting there in the airport miserable. And I saw Barbie instead. But also Celine's song for Past Lives. I think that Celine's song, you have to hand it to her. She got an original screenplay nomination and a Best Picture nomination, but somehow not a Best Director nomination. And if I'm being honest, the fact that she's getting all these accolades and it's her first feature film, why not throw Best Director nomination in there for the story? If she wins, wow, you brought home all 3 potentially. And last off, this is where you'll come for me, and I get it. This is where I lose you. So I'm glad I'm doing this early, so that way people who join the live stream later won't even know about this happening. I'm a little worried about even telling you, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be brave, and I'm gonna throw my opinion out there. All right, Best Picture was probably going to be pretty difficult to decide early on in 2023. But the way that we are now with the number of films and the quality of films that are in Best Picture, it's really hard. So what I'm saying is not necessarily that this thing should win. I'm saying it should have been nominated. All right? Nominated. You know how you can get nominated and it's not a big deal? I'm just saying for when you may come for me in the chat What do you think of Josh? Josh, grow up. But hear me out. We have best pictures like Barbie, like Oppenheimer, things that brought in money and things that were cultural events. Like Barbenheimer was something that we haven't seen since the days of Tarantino's Grindhouse. And a lot of people don't remember that or did it. It was like a double feature thing. And then some people left early because they didn't know they had bought tickets to 2 movies. You had the Holdovers. You had Poor Things, Maestro, American Fiction. You had phenomenal movies. But I'm not going to lie to you. There was one that was left out that I thought was fire. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse should have at least got a nomination. All right, just let the little cartoons sit at the table with everybody else and look shocked. Put the camera on them so they can look shocked when they don't win. But I think it should have got something. Let me know if you think I'm right in the chat. You may think I'm wrong. You may hate everything that I'm saying, but okay, I'm seeing a lot of no. I'm seeing a lot of no. I thought that maybe y'all would hate this and me for this, and I was only half wrong. Y'all are there are some people saying facts, and I agree. I'm not seeing a lot of cap, but yes, best half picture at least. Make a category for unfinished movie and give it to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because it does require its next installment. The movie will not make much sense if it doesn't. Thank y'all so much for attending the Snubbies. Let's get into the good news, okay? I want to say, I hope that in the middle of this week, in this hump day, that you are having a great middle of the week. I hope that the first half has been fire, that the second half coming is only going to be more fantastic. I want you to have one of the best weeks you've ever had, and I'm going to wish that for you every single time. You know, every time you're like, Josh, you always say you hope we're having a good week, because I always do hope you're having a good week, and I want the week to get better. Even if it's already good, even if you won the lottery, let's say you won lottery on Monday. That's a good Monday. That's probably one of the only good Mondays you can get is a lottery win. And you're over here like, man, how could this week get any better? I don't even know if I have time to spend the money because I won so much of it. I'm actually hoping that you win the lottery again. That's what I want for you. I want you to have such a good week you get sick of this week. You're like, dang, has it been 3 weeks of good? 3 days? I'll take it. That's why I brought you the good news for this week, because there's been a lot going on. We have had an incredibly busy year so far, a year where so much has been going on that it's actually hard to keep up with. You know, there have been years that felt pretty boring. You know, you go back to 2021, that year did not feel very eventful. Some of it was lockdown. Some of it was like you can come out, but only 12 of you. So this year has been off to a fiery start. There's been news all over the world, news all over the place, and some of the weirdest news that you can imagine. The first story up is a Utah teen facing charges after allegedly taping fish to ATMs. Okay, this is a weird one. I'm not gonna lie. The story comes to us from Huffington Post, and I'm gonna read you a little bit of it, not the whole article, but I just want to I need to give you the context to then take you to the places that I'm trying to go. A teenage boy in Provo, Utah is facing charges after allegedly taping fish to various ATMs in the city, and even a police car. And of course, the fishy behavior was all documented on social media. So then they have links to like the different fish, the different moments and everything. Authorities at the Provo Police Department alleged that the unnamed 17-year-old was responsible for about a dozen fish taping incidents between August and October. One photo showed 3 fish taped to a police car. Authorities told KSTU, which I'm assuming is the news station, they suspected the fish taping was done in innocent fun, but charged the teen with 2 misdemeanor counts of causing property damage back in December, mainly because cleaning up the fish carcasses off cars and ATMs started to cost money. This is why we need after-school programs. Okay? if this kid had just been busy, because this one for me, when I first read about it, was first of all so weird. It was so, unless because you in Utah, you're in Utah, which is not the fishiest of places. Like it's not like you are in San Francisco and you can go fishing real quick and then throw some fish on some ATMs and a cop car. But I mean, kudos to him to a certain degree, because he did go where you would have to engage the fish. You know, if he had just taped it to a random person's door, it's like, okay, that house might be abandoned. There might not be anybody coming back. He taped it to the ATM. Imagine you in a hurry. You're in deep trouble. Your bookie is looking. And so you run over to the ATM. You got to get this $500 out quick. And there's just a fish taped to the front. A lot of things are going to be going through your mind. First of all, the smell. Second, does the touch screen even work anymore? Has this touch screen been fully compromised by all the fish and fish scales and tape all over the screen? So you've basically rendered the ATM useless. Where'd he get all the fish? Like, unless his dad works at, like a grocery store and he just has limitless access to fish after school, the fish and the tape. And also, where you as the parents, where do you think he is? It's one thing if your kid lied and said he went to a friend's house and then he went to tape fish on ATMs and some cop cars. But if you think your kid is in his room and he's out in the world taping fish to things, you gotta step up the parenting. You gotta be more on his case. This is one of the weirdest crimes I've ever seen. If this kid had just had band, maybe. Not every kid is an athlete. I was not an athlete, If this kid would have just had some music to go to after school or something. If the district doesn't have money, not every school district has funding. So start a meditation class. Thinking is free. You can sit there and think about taping fish to ATMs all day and it won't bother anybody. In fact, it'll lower your blood pressure. That's what meditation does. Meditate. Next story up is a woman was reported missing, but it turned out she was stuck on a ski gondola overnight. And as someone who watches a lot of true crime, as someone who feels like they're pretty up to date with some of the scandals and some of the hysteria that hits the internet around missing people, I have to say that this is probably the whitest missing I've ever heard of. This is peak, because not only were you not missing really, you were skiing, but you were in the ski gondola and you were just there overnight because they stopped it. So basically what happened was this woman was walking up the hill, I think, and she said she was tired. So then one of the employees was like, oh, hop in the gondola and we'll send you back down, because she wasn't willing to, ski all the way down, I suppose. And so then 2 minutes into the gondola trip down, the gondola stopped. So I guess whoever was working it at the bottom turned it off and went home or something. And so then her friends were looking for her because they were like, she was right behind us. And so then they got concerned. They called the police. They filed a missing person. Everybody was looking for her. But then she was so high up that nobody could hear her. And so then the next morning when they turned the gondola on, she came out, and I can only imagine had some choice swear words for whoever stopped it. Like, I would lose my mind if this happened to me, because I already don't ski. So you have to understand, for me to be skiing already is a huge deal. For me to be on a skiing trip, that means I've been convinced of something or I lost a bet, because skiing doesn't even make sense to me. I like watching people do it at the Winter Olympics, but if it's me, all I can think of is just snapping my feet off, because I don't see how feet stay in skis. And that's a personal thing for me. I'm not saying that the science doesn't check out. Clearly it does. But in my mind, if I go skiing, I've also reached a level of wealth in my life where things like this don't happen to me anymore. And so if somebody turns off the ski gondola while I'm up there and I'm just up there overnight, and it said she didn't have her phone on her, because I guess you don't really keep your phone in your pocket when you're skiing in case you really take a tumble. I think I'd lose it. It sounds like everything around this is checks out pretty much. It sounds like she actually handled it pretty well. Maybe she's suing. I have no idea. Next up, a Kentucky city beams a message into space inviting extraterrestrials as visitors. This is a tough one for me. I believe that it's in Lexington. Yeah, it's in Lexington where they sent the beam out. And I know I don't speak for all of humans, but if aliens are going to come, don't come to Kentucky first. Like, and I'm not even saying that as if there's wrong places to go, right places to go. I'm saying there are wrong places to go and right places to go first. Okay. I would say, yes, there's Louisville, Kentucky. Lexington, Kentucky is beautiful. There's Bowling Green. There are a lot of cities in Kentucky that are very pretty and wonderful to visit for a weekend. But if you are alien life coming to Earth for the first time, I think there are some cities that might be a little bit more welcoming, because this thing is a little bit deceiving. Because first of all, it was started as like, how do you put it? It was sort of started as like a promo for tourism. So they did this thing, and they did have all of these experts come from different parts of the country and everything, and people who actually do know about philosophy and alien culture and astronomy and everything. And they had scientists help them come up with the beam and shoot the beam, because the beam has the data in it to trace back to Earth. And they sent it 40 light years away. So it's going to take 40 years for the message to even get where they pointed it, and then 40 years to come back. So it's going to be a while before anybody comes. But I'm just saying, if you as aliens, if you can also watch this, if aliens also have Wi-Fi, just know that Kentucky is not always the most welcoming to aliens. I'm trying to figure out how to put this. Kentucky has a lot of problems with people who don't look like Kentucky. Does that make sense? And so just I don't know how many arms you have, legs you have, color you are, whatever. I would say watch a couple of history documentaries and then decide if you want to come to Kentucky first. Definitely come to Earth. Earth would love to have you. You might have solutions for problems that we are dealing with right now. But I'm just saying, if you land in Kentucky, you could be shot. They like that whole come on down to Kentucky, that part is cap. Okay, if you landed somewhere like San Francisco, people might not even notice you were an alien. There's a lot going on in San Francisco right now. But if you go to Kentucky first, that's on you. Okay. Ever heard of a thing called sundown towns? They're not going to be particularly welcoming to alien life. Most of the South probably won't. I'll be honest. Austin is probably your best bet, because they like being weird over there. Everywhere else, Florida, there's the Carolinas. You might land in the woods by accident, then have too much trouble getting your way out. I'm not saying the North is always best at everything. There's plenty of bad things going on in the North. I'm just saying maybe land in the Midwest. That's a good median. Land somewhere in Illinois, and then let us come to you, Skipped right to aliens too. Like the fact that they put in all this work, but then to humans, they were like, hey, we here. The fact that they didn't just try harder. Okay. I'm going to check the chat real quick, see how y'all are feeling right now. I feel like New York is a perfect place. I don't know about that. That's not true. It depends on who you meet first in New York. Because there are people you can meet in New York that be like, hey, Mr. Alien, let me take you to the UN. Okay, I would love to take you over to the UN where you could talk to all of our world leaders, and then we could have a discussion about how we as humans treat each other and how we should treat aliens for aliens to feel comfortable coming over here. But you could also meet somebody in New York that really makes you uncomfortable on the bus. There's lots of people in New York that you don't even want. My mom came to New York. Love my mom. My mom's my favorite person, and she came to New York and she wanted to ride the train. And I told her, I was like, Mama, come on now. That's the train here. We're not talking about the Polar Express. This is a disgusting vehicle we're about to get on. She's like, oh, I just want to see it. And I'm like, all right. And then I spent the entire train ride trying to protect my mom from what the New York train is because of who is on the train in New York. So who these aliens meet first will be their impression of humans. It's actually going to take us a long time to fight back whatever stereotype they come up with about us from who they meet first in New York. You know, do you really want them to meet Times Square Elmo first? They're in Times Square, alien lands, Times Square. You got a couple people trying to take pictures with him and everything because they think he's one of the characters. And then you got Times Square Elmo getting up in his face, trying to square up because he thinks the alien's stepping on his territory. Now you got the alien and Times Square Elmo in a fight to the death because Times Square Elmo does not care. All right. Times Square Elmo been ready to go. Let's see what you have to say here. They just got to show up with a red baseball cap on, raise one hand and say, bathrooms, biological. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I get what you're saying. If they showed up with research on Kentucky and just already had a little bit of a Kentucky garb and look to them, that they'd be fine. All right, let's see. Aliens wouldn't even get noticed on the L in Bushwick. That is true. That's if you're an alien in Bushwick. For people who haven't been to New York, there's a borough called Brooklyn, and there are neighborhoods within that borough that honestly every couple years they take turns being the craziest. You know, so sometimes it's Flatbush, sometimes it's Bed-Stuy. It's like a hot potato of crazy and dangerous, and everybody just sort of grabs one, tosses one, grabs one, tosses one, and Bushwick is on one right now. Yeah, Times Square, Mickey squaring up too. You're not wrong. All right, let's see. So let's get into a couple more stories before we go. Okay. Badass birds are the latest trend in wedding ring bearers. So this is a thing people have been doing. They've been hiring birds to come, and not the bird personally, not like a Secret Life of Pets thing. They've been hiring a person who handles the birds to bring the rings to them, as opposed to, like, you know, when you were a little kid and they might ask you to bring the ring bearer at a wedding because you were so cute. People would go, oh, well, you were carrying the ring, and we had an extra part of the ceremony people actually liked, you know. Instead of that, they're pushing the kids out of the way. They're pushing the little kids. They're taking all the jobs away from the children, and they're giving them to hawks, I think falcons, eagles, really anything that could rip out a throat is who they have hired to bring the rings down the aisle. And some of this is cool, you know, but there was one guy who wanted to, and this is how you can tell, because this is a guy idea. He was like, oh, my fiance loves birds. So what I'm going to do is the whole wedding's going to be normal. But then when it's time for me to present her with her ring, I'm going to have a falcon come and swoop in, land on me. I'll grab the ring from the falcon, and then I'll put it on her finger, and she'll be like, wow, I picked the right one. That is, in some instances, a very romantic idea, depending on the person, a very cool idea, depending on the person. But you also have to understand this is just your idea you had in your head as a surprise. So now when your fiance is walking down the aisle, standing there looking up at you, this is the person I'm about to spend the rest of my life with. And then a falcon swoops in and comes right at your head. And you expect her not to freak out. You expect her to be like, oh, cool. What could make this day better except a bird with talons coming right at my fiance's head? We haven't said I do yet. We're about to do that part. And then you're like, boom. Now, I understand once you have the little cloth thing and it lands on you, that's going to be cool. But you gotta account for the maybe 5 full seconds of terror that's going to be coursing through her mind when she just sees a bird swooping in down the aisle, flying way lower than birds like that like to fly, unless they're out here about to do damage. Because whenever a falcon, whenever an eagle, whenever these hawks get low, it's to come get something and take something. So the idea that it's coming right at you and she's not going to freak out or duck at all. She's just going to accept it. And then you're going to pull this thing out. It lands, gives the ring. Some of these, they don't want to give up the ring. There are some of them that do not want to give up the ring at all. And I kind of get it, because they say speak now or forever hold your peace. But I'm not going to lie to you. I think that maybe the bird is flying overhead. It sees the couple and it's like, I can't support this. I can't get down with this. You know? Let me see. Okay. And so we are going to end today's good news with a contractor who found a World War II grenade hidden behind the wall while remodeling a bathroom in Seattle. There's a lot going on with this story. First of all, Seattle? You know what I mean? Then second, a World War II grenade. It's been a long time since World War II. So how did the grenade get there? Was the grenade there as like something to hide for, you know, for like a rough moment? You know what I mean? Like, were you worried about someone coming at you with, you know, guns or something? Is this a born supremacy type thing where you just always have a grenade in case? Because honestly, the way that they found the grenade was that the contractor was tearing out a bathtub. And when he tore out part of the bathtub, when he was lifting it up, he saw the grenade between two panels, two studs in the wall. So he immediately ran out, waited like 5 minutes. And he said after 5 minutes, he did peek his head back in because he was like, so you're not going to do anything. You're not going to blow up or anything. You're a full grenade. And then he called the bomb squad, called the police and everything. They checked it out. And the grenade was basically, for the position that it was in the house, it was in the panels where you could reach it from the closet. You could also reach it from the bathtub. So what kind of life are you living where you're like, they're going to come get me while I'm trying to bathe? Or they're going to try to come get me from behind while I'm trying to put my jacket on? Who has to stay that ready? If you have to stay that ready, then honestly, you need to change your lifestyle. If you have to stay that ready, you might be the problem. Okay? I'm going to check the chat real quick one last time before we head out. Oh, yeah. Kevin McAllister must be stopped is hilarious. Yes, just snug in there. Who puts it in the boards? Like that to me is like, what else are y'all about to find here? Are y'all just about to find machetes and machine guns? GIC grenade in case. Yes. And then Clancy says, I feel like that's not the worst idea. Clancy, please get it together. Don't live like this. I can already tell from the chat, you're a good person. Don't be putting grenades in your house. Because also you could forget where the grenades are. And now all of a sudden you putting up a painting and then we never see you again, Clancy. Don't do that. All right. I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in, for being part of the live stream, for rocking with me as I learn more about it, as I do my best to get better. And I also, real quick, I have dates. I have dates with all of you in stand-up. We are going to be touring all year, and you can find my dates at my website, joshjohnsoncomedy.com. And I'm going to be in West Nyack this weekend. After that, I'm going to be in Vermont. I'm going to Seattle. I'm going to Portland. I'm going to be in Birmingham, Alabama. Sometimes people say for the spot I'm going Hoover or Birmingham, but it's going to be Birmingham, Alabama, where the brawl happened. That's where I'm going. I'm going there to pay my respects, to offer up tribute to the Birmingham brawl. And I want to see you there at the shows. You can get the tickets off the website. You can get tickets in the links that I post on my socials and everything. I have videos coming out every week, and I also put links to the shows in there in the description. And I cannot wait to see y'all. You can also text me. The number is on my website. And I look forward to doing this with you even more often. Thank you so much for